Alright, so we have our kid character design imported into Adobe Illustrator CS3. I've got it locked here on layer 2. Layer 1 is our cartoonsmart.com logo, and we're just going to come down here and start a new layer. We're going to bring it above the logo. Again, we're going to start off with some pretty bright random colors that are easy to read on the screen, and we'll just serve as kind of a placeholder until we figure out the colors we want to use and the gradients we want to use. So let's start putting it together. Again, we're going to start with the head, and during this tutorial I want to focus a little more on not as technical stuff as before, and just talk more about character design, the industry, the business, just different ways to promote yourself, and also just bring up the fact that if you are watching this now, if you paid for this and downloaded this program or this tutorial, that already shows that you have quite a bit of interest in learning how to draw and character design and perfecting your skills, and that's important for you to recognize right now. It just shows that maybe this is something you really do need to really focus on, and I mean, if you're watching this is definitely something that is part of your goals and your dreams. So I really encourage you then to acknowledge that and make your next step, which is to start drawing. Draw constantly. That's your new job. You bring a sketchbook, paper with you wherever you go, pencil, and just do observation drawings. Get a blog. That was one of the best decisions I made. Is I just, I saw a couple great artists had blogs, and I would kind of watch their work, and then I started my own blog eventually, and it's a great community. Everybody is out to support each other. It's all constructive criticism, and I mean, and also it's really helpful to study how other people draw and other people's work. I mean, you can learn so much. Drawing on your own is very important, and you learn your own secrets, your own tips. But when you can watch somebody else, especially somebody who's perfected their craft, and watch them work and see how they do it, they can actually teach you shortcuts that you never, or you would have eventually discovered, but so much quicker you can be better just by seeing how they do things, and why they do it, and why that line is there. You'll improve so much faster. So I highly recommend studying other artists' work, and joining art communities whenever you get a chance, and speaking with other artists, and just working towards your goal every day. I mean, the only answer to really succeeding in this industry is, just like everything else in life, is you have to work your ass off, and that's a good thing though. I mean, if it was easy, there wouldn't be any reward in it. There'd be no pride involved. So get a blog. Just gonna do the hair here. Keep it pretty simple for now. Come around here. I actually had first come across cartoonsmart.com when I first moved down here, which was down here in Atlanta, which was about 2.5 years ago. Right out of college, I was a graphic design major. Really shouldn't have done that. Really should have gone and tried to go to animation school. But at the time, I just wanted to do cartoon, like newspaper comics and stuff like that. So I didn't really think about it. But yeah, when I first moved down here, I was waiting tables for like 1.5 years. I would work about 4 nights a week, and that would give me just enough money where I would have time to be able to have 3 days off or so to work on my portfolio and work on my art and try to perfect that, because I knew I didn't want to be a professional waiter. Like that wasn't my goal in life. So I worked real hard at it, and kept drawing every day, and just being online and joining the blog and stuff, I found all these other flash animated shorts, these short films that other artists had made with their designs, and I didn't know what program it was at first, and I later learned it was Flash, and then I started to read up on Flash and started reading, computer art magazines and learning about Flash and the impact it's having on animation here in the U.S. And first thing I did is I just saved up enough money to buy the program. And I had no experience with it. I'd never animated before or anything like that. So I searched online for Flash tutorial sites and came across Cartoon Smart, and just downloaded a couple tutorials to test it out at first, and they were great. I mean, they were simple, and I was able to follow along, and he had great tips and great shortcuts and motion tuning and run cycles and putting your character together for animation. It was all new to me, so it was extremely beneficial to me, and within 2 months I had my first animated short complete. I didn't have any way of recording dialogue with it or anything, so I just had to make a short that was pretty simple, basic. I downloaded all my sound effects online and just kind of pieced it together. And it was my first short, so I really didn't think too much of it or would even come of it, and just kind of shot in the dark. I sent it out to a couple websites to see if they would post it, and just lucky enough, icebox.com posted it. You can send it to Newgrounds too, and they'll post it no matter what. It just depends. They can vote whether it stays on their top entries, or they can vote to kick it off. But of course there's YouTube too, which you can get a ton of views on. There's just so many sites that you can submit your work to and get your name out there, and it's amazing how many hits these short films get and how much exposure a short film can give your artwork. I mean, you create your film. At the end of your film, you put a link to your website or your website address, and people like your work. They're going to stop by your site, and all of a sudden you're known to them. All of a sudden you're an artist that exists in their art world. So and that's still being beneficial for me. I was able to get my work posted on adamfilms.com, and hold on a second, I gotta fix a problem here. For some reason, oh, okay, I see. It was behind that layer. Sorry. Yeah, so I was able to get my short on adamfilms.com. To my amazement, honestly, I really didn't think I had a shot in the dark in that. But that actually helped me so much. Living in here in Atlanta, finally I put together a website, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to send out my work and see if anybody bites. I really don't know if I'm there yet, but I'll give it a shot. And I sent it to a local studio here in Atlanta that happened to be only 3 miles from my house, and I didn't know it until I looked it up online, but from my house at the time. And I sent them my work, just kind of begging them for a job in an email. And next thing I know, they call me up within an hour or two, and I'm in the studio meeting with them. And I mean, these guys have done some great shows, real talented guys, and they offered me a 3-month internship right then and there. And of course, I took it and worked there for 3 months, kind of learned more about the industry and learned how to design characters for animation, and learned different programs I hadn't had exposure to, and just saw how they put together a television show. These guys did Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Squidbillies, 12 Ounce Mouse, all these shows. So it was just awesome to sit there and see the shows come together beforehand and just gain that experience from there. And so that's just another perk of exposure and getting your name out there is if your name's not out there, these things aren't going to happen to you. So you got to put in the work and put in the time, but the payoff can be huge if you really, put your heart and soul into it. So, and that goes with anything, of course. But I've also learned a lot just about being. I've really been kind of learning this all on my own. I don't know many artists, and until I worked at the studio, I really didn't even know another cartoonist or animator before, and I wasn't sure about how as a freelance artist I'm even going to make money or how it works. But it's been a process, and I'm still learning. But I have a much better grip on it now. Um, I've just learned, how it works, how the business works as a freelance artist, and different tips and ways to get your name out there. Besides doing like a short film, it's pretty important to have your own site, of course. But there's other ways too. I just bought 500 postcards, and what I did is I got this book, Artists and Graphic Designers Market book, which is a very important book. I really think if you're a freelance illustrator or artist, it's got everything. There's like 1,900 different contacts. There's greeting card companies, and there's magazines, and there's art directors across the nation with their websites, their address. And what I did was I just sent you go to a printing company and you send them a sample of your work, maybe one or two different of your best designs that best represents your style and your work, and you have postcards printed out. You want to do at least 500 because it's tough breaking into the business and first getting your name out there, especially if you're a new artist. So you got to do at least 500 of them, and you go through the book, find out all the addresses of the different places, try to find your niche clients, places that are in the book. It kind of gives details into what each business is looking for, the style of art they do, the content, and you kind of narrow it down. And I'm gonna change these teeth a little. I didn't like the angles on them, so you send them off, and you wait about 2 weeks or so, and you shoot them back another email, just to kind of check in and make sure they receive your work. And with any business, the best way to go is make it a personal relationship. The second you become a human being to somebody, you have value. Until then, you're kind of nobody. So, arrange meetings with them. Just do whatever you can do. Email them. Just do whatever you can do to be in contact with them. And it is kind of expensive to buy 500 stamps and have 500 postcards printed. You should really look around about places to where to get it printed. There's all kinds of different pricing out there. But it's not too bad. And if in reality, if you get one or two jobs off your postcards, that's pretty much paying for your expense of paying for the postcards to begin with. So it's definitely worth it. And it's kind of how it works. Artists send them annually. Like they'll wait 3 months or so, send a new batch with a new design on the cover, and just keep it fresh and let companies and clients know that you're out there and you are available for work. So I'm going to go back into this eye here, select it, copy it, change the color on it. We'll do a dark purple again. And we want to throw it behind the eye again. And expand it by holding shift and coming to the edge here until you see this arrow. Shift, and then it keeps the same contour, but it just changes the size. So we'll throw that there. This will be a drop shadow. I'm going to change this drop shadow over here for this eye. I already did this one as I was talking to you guys, and I'll just eye drop it with this one. Okay, so we can fix that later. And let's do the nose now. I'll just keep using this same mouth outline color, and here we go. Just a small, simple nose. There we go. Okay. And what else do we want to do right now? We'll add the back of the mouth. Let's do a dark color, blue. And we'll come up here, follow the line, pen tool, down. This is gonna end up behind all these layers that I'm going over right now, or all these paths. So you won't see them. Oops. And up. Oh, too much of an angle on this. There we go. Okay, now let's throw this shape here. Needs to go just above the head layer, or the head path. There we go. So now it's behind everything. Okay, and let's add these freckles. Just do the circle tool. A little smaller over here. And for right here on this one, with the curve, it kind of left this extra little piece here, and what I'm going to do to get rid of it, I'm just going to create another quick shape over it and slice it off it. So I'm going to select this one and select this one, find them both, and put this shape on top of the mouth line. And we did this before. We go down to the Pathfinder, we go to subtract from layer, shape area, click it, and expand. There we go. Now that's gone, that little piece, and we can put the smirk line here. There we go. Oops. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, now we're going to go back in and we're going to make this transparent in the mouth here so we can see what else we have to add. There it is. There's the uvula, I believe, still. We're going to make that a darker color. We'll go black on it. And we'll come up to there. There. Change transparency so I don't lose it here. And back up. Down. And down. So we want to put this, we got to make sure it goes past this little area here, so we're going to bring it down a little more. And just arrow it over. There we go. And we want to throw this just in front of that back mouth layer. Where was that at? There it is. Okay, so now the teeth are in front of it. And let's add the shading to the teeth. Keep the same black. Oh. And we'll start here. Follow the line. This is going to be behind this mouth contour, so don't really have to worry about it. There's something I want to talk about. You see I was just dragging this line over here, and when I get to right here, this little circle shows up, and that means I'm about to click on the end point of another shape that it was not closed out. And when I do that, that changes everything. It warps it. It all makes it one shape. It connects the two shapes. So sometimes I'll just go up. Both are selected. The original line I was drawing here, I'll move it over. This pen tool, when I was coming around, is still selected, and it's still selected where I accidentally joined the other shape. And what I'll just do is hold shift, click on that other shape, and I go back to just selecting the pen tool I was using. So now when I come back over here, I'm going to make sure, I just click that again, shift, click off it. Another way to do it is I can just lock this shape too. I can just come down here and lock it, so I don't have to worry about it. Come back to my shape, click back on it, click back on the last point I made, and now it's locked, so I don't even have to worry about clicking on the open endpoint of that shape. So we're doing the teeth shading here, and we're going to come around to about here. We're going to make it a little thicker as we get closer down here. There we go. Let's change the transparency further, maybe a little higher. Okay, and let's throw this behind the smile line, which is right there. The smile line's above it, and there's our shape. And what happened here is this transparency went over the tooth. If I changed the opacity, you can see that it's going over the tooth when it shouldn't. The shading should disappear. So I'm going to keep it about that darkness, and I'm going to make another shape, some random color that I can see well, and point here, and just kind of follow the contour of it. Select it, and select the shading. Find it in my layers. Make sure this new shape that I just drew is on top of, is the next path above this shading layer. Have them both selected, Pathfinder, subtract from shape area, expand. There we go. Now I can change my opacity back down to 20. And there we go. Zoom out, see what we're working with here. Okay, we're still good here. Next, we will do the ear, shading in the ear, and I'll just use this kind of purple that we had for the eye to follow this line. Follow a little closer than that. Bring it all the way around. Okay, there we go. And we'll just show kind of what it will look like. Something like that. Zoom out. To zoom out, I'm hitting Command and the subtraction button. But you can also just select your zoom button and change it. Okay. Now we will do, let's go up and finish on the hat here. I'm going to add the strap, just some random color. Oh, you see when I get over here again, I get that circle. That means if I click on it, it's going to connect the two shapes again. So this time I'll just find the hat layer, click on it, block it, find the other hat layer just in case, so I'm not clicking on that one too. Go back to my green, and now I don't have to worry about either of them. Okay, and this shape needs to be close to the hat because it needs to be behind the hair. Let's see here. It needs to be in front of this shape. There we go. Okay. Oh, and the button up top. Let's do that. And make that arch, kind of arch it a little this way. And this will be, you know what? We'll make it a little curve and we'll keep it on top of the hat. I was gonna put this shape behind the hat, but now I'll keep it up here. And while we got it up here, I'll show you kind of the D shape I can do with it. I'll just make a lighter orange here, and I'll follow the contour of it on the top here. Just bend it, and then for this part, I'll just make it come down like this to represent the top. Now it's the button's kind of facing towards us. Okay. That'll do it for the head so far. I'll put the eyes in a little later. We're going to start on the shoulder and torso, so I'm going to close off this layer. Just call it head. Okay, lock it up. This layer we want to put under. Actually, we'll do the shoulder over. This arm we're going to do over, so we'll do that right now. We'll grab color, do a green, zoom in, and just follow our line up to the point, bring it back down, and across, close it out. Okay, and we're going to do the arms, so we're going to do it the same as the head, just that's our skin color that's representing for us. So come here, around, and go like that, and bring it back up. There we go. And now we want to throw this path behind the sleeve path. So there we go. And let's make it transparent. This as well, so we can keep track of what's behind it and where in the sketch it's at. Okay, we'll continue with this green, but we'll just do a darker one for the torso. And this is where we're going to do it behind the head. This is where this layer is going to start behind the head. So zoom in, start here, come down a little past where the pants start, because this is going to be behind the jeans layer. Come over here and up here. Okay, there we go. Let's make it transparent. And there we go. Now this is going to be behind this layer. The head layer here is in front of this layer, so we're good. On the head layer, let's unlock it and put in this collar. We'll go here, down to here, and back. And that is going to be behind the shoulder layer there. So this sleeve is in front of this collar, and this collar is in front of this torso. I know it looks a little confusing, but okay, and let's do the back arm here. We'll just start another layer for it. And the furthest back layer we'll make it the same color as the sleeve. And just come up, follow the curve, follow the curve, and just bring it in. Okay, let's make it transparent. Go. Now let's do the jeans. Bright color or dark color, and we want to start them. Where the jeans go? We'll start it here, and actually this isn't the right layer. What we want to do is create a new layer in front of the torso and start right here. Just bring it straight across. Come down, doesn't really matter, this area, we're not going to see the jeans again until right here. So we're going to put a point there, bring it down, down, just kind of follow the lines now. And come over here. Change the opacity so we can see through it and keep following our sketch line. And then it comes all the way over here. And to here. We're going to indent it for the belt. So we'll come in here, up here, and back out. There we go. Okay, now we're going to do the pant leg behind it. So we're going to make it a little darker color. Come up, follow our sketch. Down. Okay, and change the opacity to it. And we're going to throw this, since this is the back leg, we're going to put it behind the other pant leg. So now it's in the background. Let's do, let's go back to our layer 6, which is this layer, the back sleeve, and we'll put this arm in here. So select that color of our skin, and bring it up. This thumb's a little off. Okay, and let's change the opacity. That'll do it. Okay. We'll add the belt now. We'll go back to our jean layer. We'll just add a brighter color, represent it. And I'm just going to bring it from here all the way across. It's going to be behind the arm here, so we're not going to even see that. And back to here. I'm going to put a little curve on it. Let's change the opacity. Yeah, okay. So this belt is behind this layer, which is good, because when we change the opacity to this all the way up, the belt disappears behind it. Okay. And we will add, oops, that was still selected. We'll add the belt loops here. And make it the same color. Belt buckle. Just going to click on the belt, click off it, and we'll just use a light yellow for the buckle. Okay, there we go. Let's go down and do the shoes. We'll make those a bottom layer. I'm going to start naming some of these. I haven't been very good at keeping it organized as I should for showing you guys. I kind of get into my own routine, and but it is good to keep naming your layers and keep an eye on where you keep everything. So I'm just going to call this pants, and we'll do front arm here, torso, and back arm. Okay, and this layer is going to be our shoes. It's going to be the bottom layer, and we'll just pick darker color. It's going to be behind this pant leg, so we don't have to worry about it until here. And closes off. There we go. Come back over here. And just follow our sketch. Okay, that'll do. Alright, so we're getting there. We got our shapes pretty much down. We got to do the backpack still. Label this shoes. And let's lock everything up and add a new layer, which is the furthest back layer, which will be our backpack. So we'll start with the handle here. And we will make it dark purple blue. And just follow our lines. Okay, let's make it transparent so we can see our sketch under it. We'll take a lighter blue and we'll follow that line. Okay, make that transparent. Then we got to do our line here. I'm just using my arrow tool to, since this point is selected, I can just move it by clicking back and forth with my arrow tool. There we go, transparency on it. And now we'll do the backpack. Okay, let's see. We'll do the backpack in a orange, and we're still on the back layer. Okay, zoom out a little bit, see where we're going with it. Bring it up, and just kind of follow our lines here. Up. And curve it back. Okay, make sure it's all the way behind. Okay, let's change the opacity so it's not sticking out so much there. And let's do the armband for the backpack here, and we're gonna have to go back to our torso layer because it comes back over here, and then for this part of it we'll do on the backpack layer. I'm gonna name this. Okay, torso, select backpack, go to torso, unlock torso, go. Okay, let's pick a darker color. And let's just start here, come around, and that'll do. Okay, lock it back up, go back to our backpack layer, and finish off this line. And we'll make it the same opacity. This one. It's going to be behind the hand, so we don't even have to worry about it. There we go. Let's add the seam in the backpack. I'm going to change this up a little bit here. Maybe thick too. What if we just arched it? See if that would look better. Nah. We'll go. That's a little better. Looks like it just fits the perspective a little better for some reason that way. So, seam in the backpack. We'll start it here. Bring it down to here. Actually, we'll bring it all the way down to the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll add thickness here and thickness on this side, but we'll get it real skinny in the middle, like the seam's about to disappear and comes back. There we go. There's a nice line. And maybe when it gets real thin, throw in a couple counter lines. Okay, and let's make a line over here. This line down. And let's make a little crease here too. There we go. We'll fix that backpack up with some gradients later. It's going to look pretty flat when we first bring the opacity up. This shading's a little dark here. Head a little too dark on the white there. So I'll just make it more, change the opacity. You know, I was also thinking, what if he had glasses and these shading lines were actually part of his glasses, and this was the arch above the nose. This is a giant arch. But let's see if it works. Make it thinner in the middle. And then we can have them come out. How does that look? That was probably too thin there. Actually, I'll bring it to here. And then let's see. That's a stretch there. That's a stretch for the bar. Yeah, I'm gonna take it out for now. Maybe later at it, but I doubt it. I think I'll just keep him like this. And let's get his eyes here. Just start the gradients now. We'll go white to, and we gotta. This is where see when once it went to black here, it automatically went to grayscale. It thought I wanted to go from white to black. I'll just bring it back to CMYK, and now I can click on it and click the color I want to use. So it's kind of that real dark blue again. And something like that. Okay, and let's do the same over here. Grab our gradient tool, mess with it. And a good way to practice with your gradient tool is just pick a color, make a square, drag your color down, start a gradient, and just, here we'll use a brighter color. And just grab your gradient tool and mess with it. Go top to bottom, side to left, or right to left, left to right, do angles, and just kind of get used. If you stretch it further, it stretches the gradient further, therefore the difference in colors is less apparent. The shorter you go with it, the more apparent the gradient is. So it's just a good way to practice like that. Let's bring the face opacity up and start making, that's not a bad color there. Maybe, I don't want to do the same pale complexion as we did in the last character, so we'll just change it up, make him an oddly colored character. Maybe something like that for now. And let's change the shading of his eyes to somewhat this color. So we'll just click on this color and then we'll make it darker. Oops, there we go. Okay, and again with we don't want our shading to come outside of the border of the head, this line here. So we're going to go zoom in. We're going to find it on our layers palette. We're going to go down. There it is. It's lighten up there. And we're going to make a shape and follow our contour of the head. And go above the shading. Now we select it and select our shade and make sure they're on top of each other. Make sure the shape we just made is on top of the shade. And we'll select it, Pathfinder, subtract from layer, expand. There we go. And let's change the opacity to these shades, because actually let's change the color. Now, yeah, we'll do an orange, and now we'll change the opacity to it. A little better color shading. And we'll even add another one here. Okay, eyedrop it. There we go. We'll put another shade line behind it here. And I drop it. Let's go over to this one. Bring this in a little. And we'll do the same thing. Okay. And what else? This color here for the outline is a little too dark. It's almost black. Let's get it, you just kind of want to have it a different tone, a little darker tone than the color it's on. So, maybe like that. Click this. Change color. Okay, and these freckles, they don't look like a freckle right now. They look like some weird tropical disease, so we'll change them to a red, and we'll change the opacity on them so they're not so bright red. There we go. And let's do the eyeballs here. And I'm going to save real quick. Remember to always keep saving as you go through these projects. And I can't tell you how many times I had the power cut out when I was halfway through a project and I just lost everything. So with Mac, just Command Save, Command S, and keep going. Okay, let's do an eye. And for now, I'll just grab the circle tool, and I'm going to match it up kind of with the shape of the eye. Bring it from light to dark. Click on the eye, enter, copy, change it to black. Actually, I'll do a dark blue. That looks pretty good over a blue eye. And then shrink it down and place it right on top. And then we'll do a glare spot again. We'll do the white, come in, grab our circle tool, put it right above the eye, and change the opacity. Maybe make it a little bigger, stands out more. Tilt it. And there we go. And we're going to put another, this is probably more detail than we need. I mean, I think it's going to be so small you don't even notice it when you zoom out of it. But we'll put that glare line on the eyeball to make it look like it's, you know, a moist eye and that it's standing out. Okay. There we go. Zoom out and see how that looks. Yeah, that's alright. And we'll do the same thing on the other eye. We'll select this gradient color, come back over, put in our eyeball, kind of keep it on the same angle, change gradient so it's kind of light to dark again. This one can even be a little lighter because it's out there, you know, it's sitting on the top of his head, just taking in all the sunlight. So select it, enter, copy, change it to, we have it selected, so I'm just going to grab my eyedropper and click on the color that we made before, the dark blue. That automatically changed it. Grab the arrow tool, it's selected, shift, and resize it. See, yeah, that'll be right. Maybe a little smaller. A little bigger. And zoom in. Give him another reflection spot on his eye. Change the opacity. Go. Okay, let's put a shadow under his hair, make his hair pop a little. I'll just zoom in here. So we're going to take the same shading color as we used before and we're going to put it behind the hair. So we'll start a little closer here. Come out to here, make it wider as we go, and we need to throw this behind the hair. So we're going to drag it down and keep going. There's our hair. There it is. Put it right behind there, and we'll change its opacity by grabbing the eyedropper, clicking, and there we go. Now it looks like it's kind of hanging over his head, and we'll do the same thing with these. We'll start it a little differently though here, and then back down here, and up here, and bring it to here. Okay, and come up. Now whenever you do a new path and you don't select where it's going, it's going to show up at the top path of your layer. So I was on the head layer, just made it, now it's showing up on the very top. I'm going to drag it down, and I have to drag it under the hair again, and I'll select the color, and there we go. Okay, it's just a little shading to it, a little shadow under it. Here's what another thing is, I'll show you a little trick for the nose. We'll first we have to lock this nose layer because I don't want to mess with that. Where is it at? Here it is. Locked. Okay. And we'll select this color. Actually, we'll select a random color. There we go. And we're just going to follow the nose. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a gradient so it gets a little redder towards the end of the nose, like it's cold outside or something. So we're going to select our original color, drag it down to our gradient tool. Oops, I did the wrong one. Get rid of the one before and drag it down again. And now we want the gradient to go from this color of his skin to a little pinker or a little redder color. So something like that. So now we'll take our gradient tool, come back to the shape, and we'll move it at the angle that it's at, and we'll just start it, and there we go. And then this color right here meshes perfectly with the original color because it's the same color, and then it goes to red. So nose is sticking out a little now. And I was going to add a shadow to it, so I'll select our shading color, bring it down, throw it behind the nose. There's the nose shape there. Just throw it under it and change its opacity. There we go. We got a nose that's kind of popping off the face a little more now. That does go pretty red and almost disappears into its outline. So I'm going to change that. Yeah, just a little smoother transition there. Okay. And next, let's do the inside of the mouth. And we're going to save real quick. Okay. So this will do a gradient. Bring the opacity up. We're going to make it a dark color. Drag it down. Get rid of the previous color. Drag it down again. Make this one a little darker, this one a little lighter, and mess with the gradient. There we go. Okay, and this needs to be darker. This needs to be the darkest part of it, but not that dark, and it needs to have a red tint to it because that's what the gradient around it is. So we'll go see how that looks. that gradient color isn't right, so let's work with it. This needs to be less purple, more red, and this needs to have more red to it too. Okay. Looks a little better. Now this hair color needs to change because it's a little too close to that red. It needs to stand out more. So, what do we want to do? Not green, not blue. No, we can do it. Something like that. I prefer it to be a dark color, actually. Yeah, we'll see. Might go back to it. Let's do the ear now. So we already did the outline of it. I'm just going to select it. Eyedrop the same color. And select our shade. Eyedrop is our shade we already have done. And there we go. Here's done. And what else do we want to do for the face? How about this? How about where this smile comes up, where this fold in the skin comes from the dimple, we will add, and we'll have it come up a little above the eye and the shading. So it'll just give it that emphasis, and that way it looks like the eye is behind it. There we go. Like it's just kind of sitting on it. Yeah. Let's add a tongue at the back of his mouth, I guess. We'll do a pretty bright red so it stands out. Okay, and now we need to throw this in the back. Excuse me. Put it, there we go. We need this to go from real bright to darker color, so maybe yeah, that'll work. There we go. And let's fix the hat up. Color sheet is happy. I think it's locked actually. I gotta find it and unlock it. That's right, I locked it earlier. Is this it? Yep. So we'll do maybe, let's change the opacity. We'll go, yeah, green. This will be a yellowish green, and this will be a gradient inside. So we'll increase the opacity, and we'll do dark green to even a darker green. So we'll drag this back down. This one needs to be darker. And this will represent kind of the inside of the hat. Find the gradient that would work best to represent that. Yeah, that'll do it. And let's put a gradient with this hat. This doesn't need to be as dark. Actually. And you see, just by adding this gradient, it actually makes this gradient more apparent. And adds more depth to it, so that worked out. And let's change this button to different colors. We'll go, yeah, a dark green, but I want to have a gradient on this, so I'm going to pretty much put a gradient on everything on the hat. And select the color, drag it down. Do this. Make this lighter. And okay. And this will be a lighter green. Do a different color. Sometimes I just like a piano with the keys, I'll just run the color swatch down through it and see if I stumble across a color that works better for it. Like that one's a little better. Drag it down. Darker. Okay. Okay. See how it looks. It's alright for now. And let's add some gums to his teeth. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Select his teeth layer. Let's find the color we want. We'll do a kind of orangish red there. And I'm not going to bother changing the opacity and looking to the original sketch because I changed the teeth anyway, so I'll just start here. Give it an arch. Now we got to change the opacity on this so we can see through. Zoom in and basically follow this line because it's going to this shape is going to be behind that mouth outline. So bring the opacity up and let's move it. So it's here. There it is. Okay, zoom out, see what we got. I don't know that that adds anything extra to it. Especially around here. It looks like a lot of teeth here. I think it works until around here, so I'm just going to delete the rest of it here. Just grab my pen tool, selected the, went to pen tool, selected delete anchor point pen tool, and I'm just kind of slowly getting rid of these. I'll leave that one. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Let's see here. This comes out a little further than I wanted to, so I'm just going to put a shape over it and delete the excess. I kind of want it to go big to small around here, so click on this, click on the tooth, match them up. And subtract from layer, expand. Let's see how that looks. Alright, that'll do. started on the arm here. We have to unlock the layer, lock the head, front arm. There we go. Okay. Let's change the opacity again. Let's give him like a blue shirt. And torso unlock. And back arm. Where's that? Back arm. Select it. And of course we want it a little darker since it's in the back. It'll stand out a little more. There we go. And this collar. A little lighter blue. Just for now. And let's get the skin. Same as the head. I select them both by holding shift after clicking one. And we'll do the pants. Color pants that we want them to have here. I don't want it to be that same blue as his torso. Let's see if maybe this works. And we'll make this one, select it, but we'll make it darker. I forgot to change the opacity of this and just go over my lines I had drawn in here. This time, instead of doing the stroke lines, I'm gonna use fill lines. So I'm just gonna take my pen tool and drag the curves. Close it off, back up. There we go. It's good to taper your lines too. It gives you a good artistic look to go from thick to thin lines whenever you can. Don't try not to have the same consistency all throughout. Oops. Yeah, we'll do this one over here. Now, these two lines need to be behind this belt buckle. So I can move them both at the same time. I have them both selected right now, and I can go up to Object in my menu. You can't see it now. It's up in the menu bar. It goes File, Edit, Object. I go to Object, down to Group, or I just hit Command G on my Mac, and that just grouped these two objects together. The only way I can separate them now is to ungroup them, object ungroup. So now that they're combined, when I go to the layer and search for them, it shows up as a group, and I can click the arrow and it comes down and it shows me each individual layer. The reason I grouped them is so that I can move them below the buckle, and there they go. I didn't know the buckle was actually right there, but if the buckle was further down in a different layer, I could move them both together as opposed to finding one, moving one at a time and bringing it down. So change the opacity back on this. Now this needs to be in front of this stuff, and actually needs to be in front of the collar too. So opacity up. That's the backpack, and we'll just since we got that, we'll change these colors too now. Okay. And the backpack, we'll do yeah, we'll do like an orange. Here we'll do change the opacity. That's actually alright, that color. Even the transparency of this curve here worked out, so this, yeah. Dark brown. Yeah. Okay, and this belt loop, make it the same color as the pants here. I'll add another one. Actually, no, I'll leave it like that. It's all right. Okay, so let's start adding some gradients to this guy. We'll start with his face. We'll take the color down, get rid of it. You've seen me do this 100 times now, I'm sure. And no. What do I want to do? Let's see how that looks. Oh, that wasn't selected when I did it, so I'll redo it. Trying to figure out what angle I want this. Got to select the ear too. Alright, let's try it again. Ear, head, and cheek shape there. Gradient tool, and let's find no. Okay, that'll work. And now we'll make the arms that gradient too. And we'll make it lighter on the outside, darker and towards the back. And the arm, go lighter towards the top of the hand, darker under it. Is that too bright? I think so. I think this gradient, this color is a little too bright. And I was actually going to make that the darker color. So, let me just mess around with it here. Yeah, I like that better. That stands out better. That was too light the way I had it before. Okay, and I forgot the eye and the ear again. So we'll select all three and we'll change the gradient together. Okay, let's give the pants a gradient. Down. And you know, with these gradients, this is geared more towards illustration, like if you're doing a illustration for somebody. But if you're doing character animation and you're using Flash and you're drawing your symbols here in Illustrator and importing them, you don't want to be using gradients. Gradients are tough with animation. So you know, if this was for animation, I wouldn't have a gradient on his head or his arms, and his pants would say this color, his back leg would just be that solid color. It's tough to animate. His eyes probably would just be a regular blue and no gradient. So it all depends on what you're doing. But I'm just showing you. I'm kind of showing you the solid colors, and then I'm taking everything and putting it into gradient. So you could take it the lesson either way. It's still darker. this buckle. I forgot about it. I'll just see if I can match it. Yeah, that's good enough. This color, not a big fan of. See if we can't find something else. Yeah, it's a little better. And I'll add a sleeve rolled up, same color here. This needs to be in his front arm. Okay, and let's do some shading. Under his sleeve, we'll grab our shading color and we'll just match it up. And put it behind the roll we just made and change its opacity by selecting the shade we already have. And there we go. Now it sticks out a little more. And we're going to do the circle, the spiral for his elbow, the same way. So I'm just going to create a little spiral here. And make transparency the same. There we go. Let's give him some knuckles here. And we're going to make him a little darker than the shading. So I'm going to bring the opacity up on him. And with that same color and opacity, we'll put some wrinkle lines in his hands. Do this for the thumb. Connect. Okay. Let's do a gradient on his sleeve. I like this blue, so I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to drag down the blue again, darken it. Maybe a little darker. Same with this. And for back here, since it's a different color blue, I gotta drag it down all over again and make it a darker gradient altogether, because otherwise it won't show up. And I'll go light to dark here. And that's good because it puts a nice separation between the torso and the back. This belt. I did like that kind of original transparent color it had. We don't need that sketch anymore, so I'm just going to make it invisible. And save. Come back in. And we already have this. I'll see if a gradient will work for this. It's already. We probably don't need one. I think it serves its purpose, just being dark already back there. But maybe. Yeah, looks a little better. I'm going to pop a little, makes this layer pop over it. Now let's fix the shoes. What color do we want our shoes? Let's do some classic old Converse shoes. So lock everything up except for the shoes. So we'll do almost black, be a real dark blue for both. At the same time though, I do want a gradient with it. So we'll go dark blue. This will be a lighter. And it'll be lighter here. And for this one, it'll be lighter on top. But just towards the tip there. Okay. And with Converse, we gotta put the white. Maybe a real light blue. White's not gonna quite work with it. This definitely needs a gradient on it. So we'll drag it down. There we go. Need to be a little darker. Alright, we'll go over to this one. Have the same gradient color. Start back here. Okay, now let's put a gradient on the backpack. And this gradient will run a little more at an angle like that. Just noticed this green gradient on the hat is a little too bright. It goes from this dark green to too bright of a green. So I'm just going to select it, grab that green, darken it up, and I'll have to darken the top one too. There we go. Now his hair color. Not gonna work right that way, so select it and mess around with it again. That's okay. And we'll put some brush strokes in there. So what we'll do is we'll click on stroke next to our gradient. Actually I gotta go to view or window. I go up to window in my menu, brushes. Let me see here. Okay, my brushes are off to the side. I'm going to just drag them in real quick. And I'm going to select this brush. get rid of my fill, so it's just a stroke. 1 point will probably work, and I'm going to do this a lighter brown so it shows up. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just follow kind of the contour of this. Actually, the weight is too much on that, so I'm going to change it to 0.5. Actually, even smaller than that, 0.25. And just kind of follow the hairline. End it there. Do the same over here. I drop it so the stroke goes back to the original stroke I had. Okay, that back. And I think one more thing I wanted to do was take the teeth and make a gradient out of them. This one will work just fine, and just have them go a little darker as they go towards the back of the mouth. It gives them a little more depth. Not too much there, and I'll do the same with the bottom row of teeth. Okay, let's zoom out. See if there's anything else I want to change up real quick. I think that'll do it for this character design tutorial from cartoonsmart.com. If you want to see any of my work, I have a website up. It's www.mikemacart.com. Thank you for downloading this tutorial, and keep your heads down, keep drawing.